When someone tries to shame you in public, your body screams at you to defend yourself, to explain, to apologize. But Machiavelli understood something most never will. The moment you react, you lose. There's a psychological technique that flips the script entirely. One move, 3 seconds of silence, and suddenly they're the ones panicking. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. But I warn you, once you see how this works, you'll never feel shame again. Only power. Watch until the end. What Machiavelli understood that most never will is this. Shame is not an emotion. It is a weapon of social warfare. When someone attempts to shame you publicly, they are not merely insulting you. They are orchestrating your social execution, attempting to murder the very identity you have constructed. You recognize the sensation immediately, the heat ascending your neck, the sudden vacuum of silence, the feeling that you have shrunk while everyone else has grown monstrous. Your instinct screams at you to defend yourself, to explain, to fight back, or worse, to apologize. But here lies the brutal truth Machiavelli whispered to princes in darkened corridors. The moment you react, you have already perished. The moment you attempt to prove you are not what they claim, you have accepted their framework. You are dancing to music they composed. The principle of virtù demands something different, something most lack the courage to execute. Machiavelli observed that in the courts of power, those who controlled the narrative controlled reality itself. He understood that shame operates not as truth, but as performance, a theatrical production where the shamer casts you as the fool. Your biology betrays you. When shame strikes, your amygdala perceives an existential threat. In our tribal past, shame meant exile, and exile meant death. Your body prepares for combat or flight. This is precisely where you lose, because in the modern hierarchy of power, the person reacting is the person losing. The Machiavellian mind does not follow instinct, it transcends it. The first law of power is understanding that their attack has nothing to do with you. Nothing. Shame is projection. People only attempt to diminish others when they perceive a threat to their own position. A truly powerful individual has no need to make others feel small. Only the desperate do. When they attack, they confess their insecurity. They reveal that they view you as a threat requiring neutralization. Absorb this. They fear you, or they envy you, or they are so hollow that they require your pain as fuel to feel alive. Once you perceive their attack not as judgment of your worth, but as symptom of their weakness, the heat vanishes. You cease being the victim. You become the observer. And the observer, as Machiavelli knew, is the most dangerous presence in any room. When you refuse to play the role they have written for you, something extraordinary happens. The entire theater collapses. The script becomes meaningless. The director loses control. This is where true power begins. Not in fighting back, but in refusing to participate in their production entirely. Machiavelli studied the great manipulators of his time, the Borgias and the Medicis. He understood one crucial principle. The person who controls the frame controls the outcome. What happens when you employ techniques that have destroyed opponents for centuries? What happens when you understand that shame is not something that happens to you, but something that only works if you accept it? The answer lies in mastering the art of the void. Machiavelli wrote of fortuna and virtù, fortune and capability. He understood that while we cannot control every circumstance, we can absolutely master our response. The pause, the strategic silence, is one of the most devastating weapons in the arsenal of power. The average person cannot tolerate silence. When an insult penetrates the conversation, a vacuum forms. Human beings are programmed to fill this void. We laugh nervously, we retaliate, we justify, we rush to seal the gap because the gap feels dangerous. But for the Machiavellian strategist, the gap is not danger. The gap is weaponry. The most devastating response when someone attempts to humiliate you is absolute stillness. Not the stillness of a coward paralyzed by fear, but the stillness of a predator calculating whether the prey merits consumption. Here is the technique. They deliver the insult. You do not blink. You do not avert your gaze. You do not smile or frown. You become completely still. You lock eyes with them directly, not with aggression. Aggression reveals injury. You observe them with dead eyes. A flat, bored, almost clinical examination. You count to 3 internally. 1, 2, 3. In those 3 seconds, the dynamics of the room shift tectonically. The audience waits for your reaction. When it fails to materialize, they redirect attention to the attacker. The attacker anticipated resistance. When they strike nothing but air, they stumble. They begin to question. Did he hear me? Does he not care? The silence extends. It becomes heavy, uncomfortable, but it is their discomfort, not yours. You have refused to accept the burden they attempted to transfer to you, so it collapses at their feet. By doing nothing, you force them to inhabit the ugliness of what they have just done. You amplify the volume of their disrespect until it becomes deafening to everyone present. This is what Machiavelli understood about power. Sometimes the most effective action is masterful inaction. You become a void. You absorb their energy and return nothing. In that silence, their power evaporates. They may attempt to fill the void. They might say, "I'm joking," or "Cat got your tongue." This is the death rattle of their dominance. They are panicking, attempting to repair the framework because you shattered it with silence. Do not assist them. Let them scramble. Machiavelli advised that you should never interrupt an enemy who is destroying himself. The silence has become a mirror. In that mirror, everyone sees their ugliness clearly, but silence alone is not always sufficient. Sometimes you must speak, and when you do, you must employ the art of redirection, turning their force against them with surgical precision. Machiavelli understood that the skilled strategist does not meet force with force. He redirects it. Once you have maintained silence long enough to generate discomfort, you speak, but you do not defend. Defense is admission of guilt. If someone accuses you of theft and you scream, "I am not a thief," you have associated yourself with thievery in everyone's minds. You are debating your innocence. Princes do not debate their innocence with commoners. Instead, you employ psychological redirection. You take the energy they projected at you and pull it further until they collapse. You treat their insult not as fact, but as behavior. You analyze them. You treat them as a patient who has experienced an outburst. You do not become angry. You become curious. They say, "You really failed at that, didn't you?" The defensive response, "No, I didn't fail." The Machiavellian response, you pause. You tilt your head slightly. You observe them with mild, detached curiosity. And you say, "Are you all right?" Or, "You seem genuinely upset about this." Or even colder, "That was an unusual thing to say out loud." Notice the transformation. We are no longer discussing my supposed failure. We are discussing your reaction. We are examining why you are being so emotional. I have framed myself as the calm, rational authority and framed you as the emotional, unstable subordinate. This is frame inversion. You reverse the microscope. Suddenly they are under examination. They must explain themselves. "No, I'm not upset. I'm just saying," now they are defending. And remember Machiavelli's principle. Whoever defends is losing. You have stolen the high ground without raising your voice, without showing anger, without breaking composure. There exists a variation even more savage. Machiavelli knew that sometimes accepting an accusation with confidence destroys its power more effectively than denial. They say, "You're arrogant." You smile, maintain eye contact, and respond, "I know, it's my finest quality." They say, "You have no idea what you're doing." You laugh softly and reply, "I never do." But it always works out, doesn't it? This is agreement and amplification. You consume the bullets they fire at you. When you agree with an insult, you disarm it. You extract the weapon from their hands. Yes, I am unconventional. Yes, I am direct. Yes, I am late. So what? When you are not ashamed of yourself, no one possesses the power to shame you. You become impervious. The mud slides off, and the person throwing it ends up with soiled hands. But shame is never a private exchange. It is always performed for an audience. And understanding how to weaponize that audience is the next crucial skill in the Machiavellian arsenal. Machiavelli wrote extensively about perception and reality in The Prince. He understood that shame is performance art. The attacker does not truly care about you. They care about the crowd. They want the crowd to laugh, to confirm that you occupy the lowest position. Most people attempt to win over the attacker. This is wasted energy. The attacker is your adversary. You must win the crowd, but you do not win the you. Crowd by pleading for sympathy. People despise victims. This is harsh evolutionary truth. When we observe weakness, our reptilian brain desires distance. We do not want to contract their weakness, but people worship strength and control. When you remain composed while someone berates you, the crowd instinctively shifts to your position. not because they like you, but because you appear to be the leader. You appear stable. The attacker appears volatile. You can weaponize the crowd to neutralize the attacker. This brings us to triangulation. They insult you. You do not immediately look at them. You look at another person in the group. You make brief eye contact with a third party and offer a tiny, subtle expression, a look that communicates, "Can you believe this?" You share a secret joke with the audience at the attacker's expense. You ostracize the attacker. You make them the outsider. By bonding with the crowd through nonverbal communication, you isolate the shamer. Suddenly, they are not the ringmaster. They are the court jester dancing for attention, and nobody is applauding. This is subtle. It requires nuance, but executed correctly, just a glance, a raised eyebrow, it destroys the attacker's social capital instantly. You have signaled to the tribe, he is not one of us. He is trying too hard. In the laws of power, trying too hard is the ultimate transgression. The person with the most power is the person exerting the least visible effort. Therefore, slow down. Your movements should be languid. Your voice should be deep and measured. Your breathing should be rhythmic. You are the stone in the storm. Let them be the wind. The wind screams and howls and eventually exhausts itself. The stone remains. Machiavelli understood that sometimes battles are won not through combat, but through absence. Sometimes the best way to destroy someone is to delete them from existence. There are individuals who thrive on negative attention. If you fight them, they win. If you employ psychological tactics, they enjoy the game. They are energy vampires seeking any reaction. For these individuals, you deploy the nuclear option. You erase them from reality. But this requires something deeper than technique. It requires an internal transformation that makes you genuinely indifferent to their existence. Machiavelli advised that the greatest punishment you can inflict is not death, but irrelevance. When certain individuals speak, you continue what you were doing as if a breeze passed through. You do not look at them. You do not pause. You do not flinch. You turn your back and speak to someone else. If they stand before you, you look through them at something behind their head. This is not the silent treatment. That is emotional reaction. It communicates, "I am hurt, therefore I will not speak." This is active non-existence. It communicates, "You are so beneath my notice that my brain does not register you as a biological entity." This triggers deep primal panic. Being ignored is biologically more painful than being attacked. Attack acknowledges existence. Indifference denies it. They will escalate. They will become louder, more hurtful. Let them. The louder they become while you remain oblivious, the more unhinged they appear. They will immolate themselves in their own desperation. And you? You are sipping coffee, discussing weather, completely unbothered. This is ultimate dominance, the dominance of the mountain over the ant. The ant can bite perpetually. The mountain does not notice. But to execute this authentically, you must genuinely believe in your own value. You must believe their opinion is as irrelevant as insect buzzing. This brings us to the philosophical core. Techniques are useless if your soul remains fragile. You can learn the stares, the pauses, the responses, but if you tremble internally, they will detect it. Micro-expressions never lie. To truly destroy anyone who attempts to shame you, you must destroy the part of yourself that feels shame. You must construct an internal fortress. Why does shame cause pain? Because you have given them the keys to your self-worth. You are permitting an outsider to audit your value. Why would you trust their judgment over your own? Machiavelli wrote about virtue, prowess, strength, capability. A person of virtue relies on himself. He knows what he is. If you know you are strong and someone calls you weak, it is not painful. It is absurd, like calling a lion a mouse. The lion does not become offended. The lion knows it is a lion. You must reach self-knowledge so concrete that external inputs bounce off. This requires shadow work. You must face what you are ashamed of. Your past, your body, your bank account, your solitude. Bring it into the light. Examine it. Accept it. Yes, I have failed. Yes, I am struggling. The moment you accept your flaws, you become invincible because the shamer has no ammunition. They can only hurt you with truth you hide from. If you hide nothing, they can hurt nothing. Become transparent to yourself and opaque to them. This is the paradox of power. The most vulnerable person hides behind armor. The most powerful stands naked in the storm saying, "I have nothing to fear." When you reach this state, you stop entering rooms wondering if people will like you. You start wondering if you will like them. The dynamic flips. You become the judge. When you must strike back verbally, cut like a surgeon, not a butcher. A butcher hacks and makes mess. A surgeon makes one precise incision. When you strike back, follow the rule of brevity. Less is more. Long speech makes you look defensive. One sentence makes you look lethal. Here are surgical strikes. Strike one, the who frame. They insult you. You look at them and ask, who are you trying to impress right now? This immediately exposes their performance. It tells the room, he is performing. I am watching. Strike two, the repeat command. They say something nasty. You put your hand to your ear. I'm sorry, say that again. Insults are like jokes, they only work once. When you force repetition, it loses rhythm. Usually they will not repeat it. They crumble. Strike three, the validation trap. They attack you. You smile compassionately. I know things are hard for you right now. You don't have to take it out on me. You frame their attack as a cry for help. You pity them. There is nothing more humiliating to a narcissist than being pitied. They want to be feared. When you pity them, you place yourself above them. How you end the interaction is crucial. Once you have deployed silence, the stare, or the surgical strike, leave, or turn your attention completely elsewhere. When you withdraw attention, you withdraw the greatest resource. Do not check if they are looking. Do not seek validation, just move on, make them forgettable. Why does this matter? Because we inhabit a digital coliseum where everyone judges everyone. Cancel culture, online shaming, status games. It is a war zone. If you lack these defenses, you will be consumed. You will shrink. You will become afraid to speak your truth. Learning these tactics is not about becoming evil. It is about protecting your light. It is about building a perimeter around your mind, so toxic waste cannot touch you. When you know you can handle shame, you become fearless. You take risks. You speak up. You lead. You walk differently. You stop asking permission to exist. Shame is a cage. These techniques are the key. But remember, do not become the shamer. Use these tools to destroy the destroyers. Use them to protect the innocent. Use them to hold your ground when the world attempts to move you. You now possess the tools. The silence, the stare, the redirection, the void. You have the blueprint to dismantle anyone who attempts to lower your status. But knowing the path is not walking it. The next time you feel that heat rising, do not panic. Smile, because you have been waiting for this. You are no longer the prey. You are the trap. Most people will watch this and return tomorrow to being victims. They are addicted to their weakness. But you who are still here, you are different. You are ready for something deeper. If this resonated with you on a deep level, if you felt the truth in these principles, show it. Like this video so others can find it. Comment below with your thoughts, even anonymously if you prefer. I read every comment and your insights matter. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Because we are building something here. We are creating a sanctuary for the strategic, for those who refuse to remain victims, for those who understand that the world respects strength and punishes weakness. More content is coming. Deeper, darker, more powerful insights into human nature and social dynamics. This is only the beginning of your education in power. We'll see you in the next one. Until then, walk with confidence. You now have the knowledge. Use it wisely.